Here we are again today with another progression video brought to you by me. Today is August the 6th, 2025. So CJ started school Monday. Today's Wednesday. Today is Wednesdays, my dudes. So he started school Monday. I had to work Monday and Tuesday, so I didn't get to make I know last year I made a progression video for when he started school. So he's not here today. He's in school. It's hump day for him. First week back from summer break, so he's not sleeping until noon. And of course this past summer, well, yeah, he had been sleeping late. Like he slept till, 1, 2 in the morning. Well, 1, 2. 11, 12 in the morning, during the summer break. So, I mean, he got a nice little vacation from it. Oh, let's see. What's going on weather-wise? Nothing. We hadn't been under any marginal risks. We got a daily chance for thunderstorms daily, chance for rain daily. For the last, I'd say since that rain come in last Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and today, it's been almost 5 days and we've been under cloudy conditions. You get a little bit of sunlight in the evenings, but mostly it's been cloudy in the morning, so it's kept the temperatures. That's how they kept the temperatures down, filtered sunlight. So, in the mornings, it feels almost fall feeling, and it's not even, close to fall. Well, it's closer to fall than it was in, the 1st of June. So, but it's not close to fall yet. So it's still in the summer, late summer. But we do have a couple of hurricanes. Actually, we have one right off the East Coast, Dexter, and that's about it. They have 40-50% chance of development, coming off of the waves coming off of Africa. They have one that's, I think 30-40% right off the coast of the Carolinas. That could happen. Probably get some tropical moisture from that. And then we'll be looking for our second tornado season. Now up there in South and North Dakota, they've had their little severe weather season that they get. They've had a pretty active season. Well, like last night they had a 5% tornado risk, but I think they had one tornado report. Didn't really have, much up there in the way of actual touchdown tornadoes. But here we've had, just mist and maybe some, quick showers, but nothing really major. It's been cool. I mean, yesterday at work, it wasn't, the usual 97, 98 degrees in there inside the place that it normally is. It was actually kind of cool there. It felt pretty good. So we're, like I said, it's cloudy. I've been hearing it sounds like thunder off there, but I look on the radar, I don't see anything. So, other than that, it's been pretty quiet. We You can see how everything looks. There's our banana tree. Bushed out there, the usual summertime, you know, the way it looks. Because usually during the summer, especially after the Japanese beetles get done eating it up, you can see on the fringes there where they've eat them up a lot. I try slapping them off, but it don't always work. You can see the trees back there. Of course, I'll get up and walk here in a minute. There's Mom's lemon tree. Ain't really doing much. Rose bushes over there, their garden, which we've gotten some huge cucumbers off of it. So you can see everything looks pretty good for a late summer day. Look at that. Look at Delilah. She's like, what now? And there's Bo Gemma. Bo Cephas. Bo. He's like, are we going in or what? Let's take the tour. See how everything's going. Oh, on my first day off from the 2 days on, which I just started working the line again. I ain't driving the fork truck, so I'm tired. Not used to that working. We'll see it transition to fall. We'll see a lot of this stuff die out. It'd take a while for the grass to die out because this gets longer every year. Of course, I would expect it to. The old man's building. We sit in there. I need to get in there and clean that stove up before it gets cold again. There's our banana tree. Well, that is. Oh, they gave the dogs a bath yesterday. Who? Wrinkles. I'll feed you here in a second, buddy. Doing all right? Ready for that bath? He's like, bath? Why would I take a bath? That's how much rain we've had in a month. I'd say and empty that out. There's our tomato plants. They're looking good. And tie them up. Ooh, there's a little bug over there eating them. Stop it. Stop it. Get out of there and quit. Got our cucumbers. I don't see any huge in our tomatoes there, or our strawberries. Of course, it's got a little worm on it. Stop it. See how I'd spray them with spray there to get them to die out. Look at our mess over here that we're going to clean up this fall, or this winter. I'll get out here and clean it up and burn it. This, again, clean it up every year. Man, looks like this year I'm going to have to do it again there. Like an every year thing. Got that walnut tree in there. Does look like rain there. But yeah, CJ's back in school, so he's not enjoying that. Of course, he's in middle school now, so he's in a different school. He says, you know, I'm sure he's gonna have his bad days like I do at work. Bad days at, you know, school, same thing. Ain't that right, Delilah? Come on, Bo. Get out of the driveway. But yeah, I mean, you've seen what we've done this summer. A lot of fishing. A little bit of baseball. No golf. Well, we went golfing once. I think we done a thing on it, but we went golfing once. But he done some baseball part of the summer. And Bo, get out of the driveway. I don't want somebody randomly comes in. Here comes the sun finally. Here comes the sun. Oh. Done a bunch of fishing. And now we're into mountain biking. Of course, my last video was him learning how to ride a bike. And he picked it up pretty quick. His legs are extraordinarily bruised, where he's wrecked and where he's went over the what do you call it, the you know, hit the bike, hit the pedals, hit, you know, whatever. He's crashed a lot, and he's wanting to go to the trail today and ride on the trail, which he watches them YouTube videos and watches them what do you call it, plays in video games of mountain biking, and then he wants to go reenact them. So he that's what he does, which is fine. I'll take him to the trail, you know, after supper. We'll swing down that way and try it out. So it'd be nice. Ain't that right, Delilah? Don't you be eating stuff out here. You hear me? Don't you be eating nothing out here. I don't know what you got into yesterday. It gave you diarrhea then. But yeah, just today hanging out. Weather-wise, ain't really much to talk about. I mean, we're done with that part of, we're going into our hurricane season and our second small tornado season. So we'll see how that goes. Like I said, we'll see if we get any, you know, hurricanes, like I said, doesn't affect us like incredibly bad. Usually we get the remnants from it. And depending on where we're at in the with the low, then it, you know, it'll be, usually we're in the we're far enough away from the low that we don't get isolated tornadoes, or the low is east of us, so we're on the good side of the low, where, you know, you don't get the tornadoes and stuff. You usually get just the heavy rain and stuff. Now, like Helene, the low come directly over us, so we got the gusty winds and the rain. We didn't get no isolated tornadoes like they did in the Carolinas. So that's, I mean, that was a good thing. Go away. So we didn't get much. So it was pretty good, you know. I mean, it wasn't good for the people of North Carolina and northeastern Tennessee and up in Kentucky, you know. But I mean, we only got, like, I made a video about it the day that it come in. You know, the low was coming over us and the northeast of us, you know. But like I said, hurricanes don't really affect us. You know, we get into the remnants of it. That's about it. You know, it's not tropical hardly anymore. So we don't really see the effects of it too much. A couple of times we've had, you know, some pretty gusty winds, you know, during a hurricane and stuff. We had some gusty winds and some isolated, you know, bad weather. Nothing really big though. But it's mostly that second season, and I think I was mentioned in one video that what was it? November is Veterans Day. It's called the Veterans Day outbreak, but I think that was in, when was that? 2002. And we didn't even live here at that time, or we had already moved away by that time. So oh wait, mosquitoes. So we hadn't even, so that's the last time we had any real bad. And like I said, we didn't even live here at that time. We lived in Missouri at that time, so there was a lot of severe weather that happened that I didn't even know about because I didn't have the type of information that I do now. You know, like I didn't know where to look for that day one outlook from the Storm Prediction Center. I didn't know where to look for storm reports. I didn't know to look for storm reports until like 06, something like that. And I finally discovered the Storm Prediction Center, but I didn't know the day one outlook. And then I remember we've been under a couple of high risk out there in Missouri when I lived out there, and didn't even know it. And in fact, we had one of the most, you know, active, not the most, but we had a real bad active May. And we was in a pretty bad outbreak, you know, but we didn't even know it. You know, we just had multiple storms around us. You know, it seemed like every spring we was having something, you know. So but anyway, I figured I'd make a progression video for CJ's his not official first day of school, but his non-official. First day I was off work and he's in school. So I got to mow today, and then I got to sweep. I shouldn't have to weed eat. And then I got to check the air pressure in Mom's car, which I don't have my digital gauge with me. I have to see if I can find a regular one and see which one's low. And then I'll have to turn it off. Of course, it's a Kia, so that's the little code reader I got is for the foreign-made cars. Ain't it, Talala? She's like, would you leave me alone? But yeah, so CJ started school Monday. He's back in it. Now we're at the end of summer, so his summer's over. And Bo, don't be eating nothing. I don't want you eating nothing either. So it's back to going to bed at 10 o'clock at night, and except on the weekends. And we'll see how this year goes. You know, we got like I said, this hurricane season we're in, get through that, see what we, you know, end up with. And then also our second tornado season for you don't normally see nothing in October. It's usually November. Usually you possibly can get it some setups, and then we'll make it through that, you know, December, and then back to January, and then back to the spring again, and we'll see how it goes from there. See how next spring is. This spring was really active. I mean, like, I've made 2 screen recordings of 2 high risks this past year, plus a bunch of slight risk, a bunch of enhanced risk. We had a lot of, we had a tornado that actually hit our county, so that'll add to our count. So we should be up to 20. This year's was really active. We started getting severe weather in February. Actually, it kind of just seemed like it didn't even end. We had them in, I think we had a little setup in December. We had one in January, late January. We had one in February. March was really active, and then April was pretty active. And they wasn't really active for us, it was active for just the United States alone, Texas, Oklahoma got hit pretty hard this year. Missouri took a little bit of a hit. Arkansas took a big hit there. They had a lot of tornadoes. Mississippi and Alabama. I'd say Alabama didn't really fare too bad this year. It wasn't like super active, like we've seen in the past. Mississippi wasn't as active as it normally is. It wasn't real bad. I mean, they had a high risk in there at one time. We was under a moderate, but it really wasn't all that bad. They had tornadoes, of course, and they got tore up. Kentucky took a hard hit this year. They had all them tornadoes that come through in, what was it? That was in May. And then we had, we've been hit a little bit. We had tornadoes up into early spring. We had one hit up into northern Tennessee, northeastern Tennessee. Then we had that one in Monroe County. That was in our county. We had one in, where else? I'm trying to think. I know we had a lot of severe weather. We had a lot of large hail there this year. We had that one slight risk we was under that I didn't really get any videos of because the day that it happened I had to work. But I did drive through a few hailstorms, and we had some hailstorms afterwards. So that was the first time that I remember of that we was under a slight risk, hail-driven slight risk. So we had actually a fairly active spring, and now we got, they're all the way up until, in Texas and Oklahoma, it was all the way up until mid-June there. Finally it calmed down and they got out of it. This year was the year of stationary fronts. So we've had a lot of stationary fronts, and they've been draped over us, and storm after storm firing. We had a really wet spring. We had a really wet summer. Not like last year where it was super dry and we had a drought right there at the, now I think this winter is supposed to be another La Nina. So we'll go into early spring with another La Nina and another probably active tornado season. I mean, only time will tell, and we'll see what comes up. So we won't know until it's, until it's here. So we'll see. We'll see how this hurricane season plays out, and we'll see how the second tornado season plays out. Hopefully it's not super active. I think we're still in an Enso neutral. So usually it's dry in an Enso neutral, but it ain't been dry this summer. It's been pretty wet actually. And then we'll go into winter and see what happens this winter. See how many snows we get, how many cold days, and then it'll be back to spring again, and then we can try again next year. And CJ will be going into the 7th grade. This year he's going into the 6th grade. So anyway, I figured I'd make this progression video to show how it all looks, and of course CJ's first day of school back. It's Bojama and Delilah. 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 Delilah, I'm gonna touch you. Blah, 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 blah. She's like, would you stop touching me? She's like, I can't eat anything, so about time to pull the lawnmower out, ain't it, Bo? Bo's just staring at me like, are we going in? But yeah, I figured I'd make this progression video and do a little recap of the spring. Summer was, like I said, we had a lot of slight risk and marginal risk this year. So it wasn't really all that bad. And then there was, we're still in the late stages of summer. And it's been real hot this year too. So we had a stretch of really extremely hot weather. So, but it's been real rainy. We had a dry spell there for about 2 weeks. And then, we've had nothing but rain. Well, last Friday, when we had them storms come through when we was at the casino, that one is when the hot spell, hot dry spell ended. So it's pretty out here though. But anyway, I guess I'll see you in the next video.